I'd like to thank everybody for coming on behalf of the Moranbah BMX Club. It is great to see so many people come out and visit regional Queensland to turn up to ride their bikes. It's fantastic. We've got about 286 nominations today, which is 50 more than last year. So well done everybody for turning up. Our Weekend of Madness is a special event for a couple of reasons. We try and give our pro riders and everybody else riding out here the best opportunity. We give you good prize money. We've got some excellent awards and trophies out there for everyone who participates. But one of the special reasons we come together now is for the Ethan Stevens 13-year-old boys memorial race. And on that note, I'd like to hand over to Tony Midgley to say a few words about Ethan.
Thanks, Renee. Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, racers and support crew. Welcome to beautiful Moranbah for this, the Ethan Stevens Memorial for 2023. Please excuse me while I read a few notes as we go through this. So just, Jacko, if you can come out on the track with Ethan's bike. So who is Ethan Stevens? That's the question to be asked. I'm going to reflect on a couple of quotes, ladies and gentlemen. Ethan was a young man. He was a fantastic young man who was part of this club. I recently spent some time talking to his mother, his father, and his little brother, Jet. And we joked about a few things. We shared some nice parts of Ethan's life. We shared some memories of Ethan's life. And we shared a few things about Ethan after his passing. One of the things we shared was after Ethan passed away, his mum got access to his phone. Poor Ethan, you know, any teenage kid would absolutely hate that. But Ethan shared some quotes on his personal phone. They were stored on his phone. They weren't shared on Facebook. They weren't shared anywhere. He put these quotes 17 days after he was diagnosed. And I'm going to share the first one with you right now. No matter how you feel, get the hell up, dress up, show up, and never, ever give up. So recently in talking to Kimberly and Michael Stevens about Ethan, I talked about Ethan and sport. So Ethan was a fantastic young sportsman. And on reflection, I asked his mum and dad, when did Ethan start riding a bike? And his dad, Michael, sort of laughed and he said, well, as soon as he could walk. Well, isn't that what all BMX kids do? So we took back to a story of Ethan at about 3 years of age. So Kimberly, a new mum of her son Jet at the time, Ethan 3, had his first mini-wheeler style bike, so a Strider. We call him a mini-wheeler because we are BMXers. So he's on this balance bike down the street here in Moranbah and had Jet as a new baby going for their first walk. So they walked out of the driveway and down the street, and Ethan on this little mini-wheeler tore off down the street. And Kim looks back and she says, all I could do was scream his name. Ethan, come back here. Ethan, come back here. So Ethan tore off down the street on this little mini-wheeler, and they got to the end of the street. And Kimberly found the bike laying on the ground at the end of a street sign, and Ethan hanging off the street sign. So she made the decision that it was time to go to gymnastics. So off to gymnastics they went. Ethan began playing a number of different sports. Kimberly also reflects on a time at about 6 years of age where they went to soccer. And I've never been a soccer dad, so please excuse my analogy of soccer for those soccer fans here. Apparently when kids are young, everybody gets a ball. So it might be like everybody gets a trophy, but everybody gets a ball. So during this soccer day, Ethan had his own ball, so he kicked it. And then he proceedingly ran around everybody else in the team and kicked their ball away from them. So it became very, very apparent very quickly that team sports at that point weren't for Ethan. So off they went, and they went swimming. So Ethan took to swimming and he started doing a bit of swimming. And Ethan's dad, for those of you who aren't aware, Michael, was actually an Australian BMX champion. And Michael had some old BMX gear, and his younger son Jet wanted to ride BMX. So they came to this hallowed turf, we call it Moranbah, the Weekend of Madness, this fantastic place that we all meet today. And that was in about 2015. Ethan was 8 years of age. So Ethan started racing on this very facility with a lot of our kids at 8 years of age. Jet, his brother, who was the one who was keen to ride, Well, his mum and dad refer to Jet as a Sunday rider. He was happy to just poke around and have some fun. At the end of grade 4, Ethan tried out for football at the end of season. He loved the contact sport and he loved football. There were two things in life that, in talking to Kimberly and Michael, he really, really loved. One was footy and one was BMX. 2018 was the last year that Ethan rode a full year of BMX. And in 2019, he actually went to Aussies with absolutely no time. He'd hurt his ankle. So he'd been off the bike for 5 weeks and he went to Aussies and won himself a 3A. So for 2017, Ethan went 8A, 2018, 3A, 2019, 3A. In 2019, Ethan was lucky enough to sign with the Broncos and make selection as a Queensland representative for 12 Boys Rugby League. And in 2020, December, Ethan was diagnosed with leukemia. He began the toughest battle of his life. I want to share with you a quote that came from his auntie. Cancer has never met Ethan Stevens, and fight he did. I'd like to share another quote from Ethan's phone. The temptation to quit will be the greatest just before you're about to succeed. 51 days after this quote was in Ethan's phone, cancer left. It took Ethan with it. All cancer left behind was a quiet, empty, and bottomless place for those who Ethan had touched during his extremely short life. I shared with Kimberly and Michael this week some favourite memories. Michael said his favourite memory of Ethan was his application to sport and his desire to succeed. Jet said to me, having Ethan to ride my bike with. Not sure whether many of you remember, but in 2017, both Ethan and Jet, a week apart, supermaned off their bikes on this very first straight and both broke their arms. Kimberly reflected that as Ethan got older, kids started to look up to him and he became a very, very well-respected role model, both in BMX and right next door at rugby league. Personally, when we talked about Ethan's dad asked me what my favourite memory of Ethan was. Well, my favourite memory was at 11 years of age in 2018, I'd recently moved to Mackay and Ethan jumped the pro set at Serena at 11 years of age on a set of 1 3/8 tyres. Something for me that just sticks in my mind. It was after racing and he'd been bugging everybody all day that he wanted to hit the pro set and hit the pro set he did. Cleared the first one and paced the second one, but I tell you what, he did a great job. So for me, that's my favourite memory of Ethan Stevens was that bike that you see right in front of you. The 1 3/8 tyres sailing over the pro set at Serena with an 11-year-old on top. Ethan was a polite, respectful and genuine young man. But most of all, Ethan was a true, fierce competitor who loved our sport. As I draw to the end of my tribute for today, I ask all of you two things. Mums and dads, please hug your kids. Tell them how much you love them. Kids, please take that pink ribbon from the Rego hut, tie it on your bike. And remember, if opportunity doesn't knock, build a damn door. When you're forced to dig deep on the track, build that door. This weekend, don't just knock on that door, knock it down. Both last year and this year, when I come to this facility for this fantastic weekend, I can sense Ethan is here. He's with us. And I want to share one final quote with you. When Ethan began his first round of chemo as an outpatient, so Ethan had had a series of chemo-related treatments as an inpatient. When he began as an outpatient, the morning they had to go to the hospital, he could sense his mum's feelings. And he turned to Kimberly and he said, "Don't cry for me, Mum. Let's just do this." With Ethan's spirit here today, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you all, please, don't cry for Ethan. Let's just do this. Riders set.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the game.
Let's dance a song, let's dance for a while. Heaven can wait, we're only watching the stars. Hoping for the best, but expecting the worst. Are you gonna drop a bomb or not? Let us die young, let us live forever. Don't have the power, but we never say never. Sitting in the sand, life is a short trip. Music's for the sad man. Can you imagine when this race is run? Turn our faces into the sun. Praising our leaders, giving a tune. Music's free by the madman. Forever young, I wanna be forever young. Do you really wanna live forever? Forever, forever. Summer like water, summer like the heat. Summer like melody, summer like beat. Sooner or later, we'll be gone. Why don't we stay young? It's hard to get on without a cause. I don't wanna perish like a freedom.
Ethan Stevens, Forever 13. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.